Thank you, Sam. Very generous of you. I think you grossly inflated my credentials. I would like to discuss here is in this career, which is my fifth career now, gone through four very different careers over the last 40 some years that I've been in professional life. I do career and life coaching, and the episode that I went, it's actually dead. And I was dead for over 10 minutes. And the entry document in the Washington hospital said that the patient was clinically dead for more than 10 minutes. That's the way I entered the hospital ER room back 10 years ago, 2012, September. And through the miracle of many people who tried to help me come back from death is where I am today. So since then, almost four months after that episode, I have completely resumed my coaching practice, and currently I have a little over 1,000 people that I'm coaching all over the world. So that's where it is for me right now. So it happened, almost 10 years ago. It was a late day in September. It was a warm day, and I had a full client load. After that, around 5:30, 6 o'clock, I came home and I decided to take my regular walk, which is about 2 miles. And so I walked 2 miles and came back home and sat down on my sofa watching TV. Around 6 o'clock, it was a Friday. And my wife said, Dilip, what do you want for dinner? And I just told her I would like this. And she went to the garage, came back. And when she came back, she heard this groaning sound that really startled her. And when she saw that, what had happened to me, I had actually collapsed in the couch. And she shouted for my son's name. He was fortunately home that day. He's usually not home at that time of the day. And he happened to be home. So she said, call 911, let's get some help. And she couldn't compress my chest because she just has come through cancer surgery. So she didn't have the strength. So she got on the phone, and the 911 operator was giving her instructions on exactly what to do. And she was relaying those to my son, who was compressing my chest with as much force as you could put. But incidentally, which miraculously, I would say, on a Friday, 6 o'clock, the first fire engine, paramedic engine, arrived in about 3 minutes, which is a miracle in itself, because the nearest engine company is about 3 miles away from my home. And so Friday night, coming that quickly was a miracle. And they tried to revive me, and they couldn't. And they tried for about 5 minutes, and they threw their hands up. And by that time, the ambulance came with the technicians, with defibrillators and all of the medical supplies and so forth. And they started doing actual defibrillation and injecting in my heart adrenaline and so forth. And they tried for about another maybe 6-7 minutes with multiple shots of adrenaline and increasing the energy on the defibrillator. And finally, they threw their hands up and said, no, this guy is dead. It's been too long, and we have to haul the body to the morgue. That's how they threw their hands up. And this was at about 10 minutes now into my episode. And they started leaving. And then the first engine company said, what do we have to lose? Let's give it another chance, right? So they jumped on my body and they started compressing my chest. And within like a minute, he said, this guy has a pulse. I think he's alive. So then they came quite back because they were almost out of the house at that time. They kept running back, put me and myself in the ambulance and hauled me to the ER. And the doctor who admitted me, he was an intensivist, said that we can't promise you anything because he was out of oxygen for more than 10 minutes, but we can bring him back. We don't know how functional he would be. But he said, I'm going to save this person for whatever reason. And there were three or four other people in a similar situation, but he decided to pick me and try to save me, which is, again, a miracle. So they decided to put me in a drug-induced coma for, I think it was 3 days. And what they do is they inject some drug and put you in a cold room. I think it was like 10 Celsius for preserving your organs that are still intact to see if you can come back and be functional to the extent that you can be. At the end of that period, I think it was either 2.5 or 3 days, I forget exactly, because I was still unconscious. They brought me out into the ER and they said, well, we don't know, how cognitively ready he is, but we can at least do some testing to see where we need to work on this person. So my wife decided that, let's find out if he even remembers who he is and his past. So she decided to get a client of mine to come visit me in the intensive care unit in the ICU. As soon as I saw the client, I knew exactly who he was and remembered our last session from a month ago. And acting like we're having a session chokes me up to even think about it. Anyway, that's when they realized that I was fully cognizant of what's going on around me. And then they decided to operate on my heart at that time. So that's basically the front part of my story. And I think that kind of illustrates what I went through and how I came out of it.